Alright, the moment has arrived. We're going to finish up by assembling the shuttle bay, then we're going to bring the two pieces together. Let's get to it. The first thing we need to deal with is we just have a tiny little light leak just under the top of that window. So what I've done to fix it is just apply a nice thick layer of acrylic paint. And in this case it's black, that's what I had to hand. I probably should have used a grey colour, but it's not really visible from the other side. And that just forms that necessary seal to stop light from leaking out. Step 1 to attaching the after section to the engineering hull is to assemble this little shuttle bay bit. If you wanted to, you could have the shuttle bay door open so that you can see inside it. However, I don't intend to have the shuttle bay exposed as I'll never be able to dust it. So I'm going to have my shuttle bay doors firmly and securely shut. However, I will still need to assemble this rear part just to give the support to the door section. The first step is to assemble this rear section, which sits at the back and supports the shuttle bay. This is very straightforward, it's just a 90-degree join, like so. Good. And same deal for the other side. Whilst that's drying, we can take our shuttle bay door, and that just sort of sits on top of it. So we just need to get two little blocks of glue onto these pins, and then rest it in place. Again, making sure that we're trying to stay flush with the bottom. Okay, with that done, we can now mount the rear section in, as we'll want that nice and set before we put the front on. So we'll get a bead of glue, put it along the bottom and the sides. You might opt to put it onto the part instead, but I am quite confident that this will fit perfectly, as it does. To make sure it dries nice and flush, I will just jam in a little bit of pressure to make sure those walls stay tight. And because these are all internal facing, I'll also run a bead of reinforcement on the internal faces. With that done and set, now we just need to put the front on. The front is pretty much a lean-to situation, where it just goes into that slot and then pushes back like so. In this case we need to put a bead down the side on each one, and one along the entire bottom of this part, the door as well, that part, and making sure we get those two little knobbly bits. And now, carefully, because this is I have to hold it by the rounded edge, so it's a bit awkward. But we just put it right down into the slot and rest it back. Hold it for a few moments, make sure everything is lined up and down. That's all solid and dry now, which means that we're almost ready to merge the two pieces together and then do our final spray on this rear section. So right now I'm going to mask off all of the lights. Once that's done, I'll hit the shuttle bay door with the primer and the grey, not worrying about the rest of the paint at the moment. Combine the pieces together, seal any seams that I need to, and then we'll hit it with the final spray that we should need to do on these rear pieces. And then we'll have half of Voyager. If you haven't seen it before, this pink stuff is liquid mask. It dries into this nice rubber film that obviously you can peel off once you've finished. Now, I'm not a religious man, but right now I'm putting all my faith in it. And of course, because it's liquid, you can use it to create films over gaps like the impulse engines here, which you could, globally mask over. But it seems that I was getting quite lax near the end there, So I do need to get some paint onto these impulse bits. This is certainly the easiest way to mask them off whilst keeping as much of the area exposed as possible. Alright, I'll leave that to dry. The masking is all done. I've also primed the shuttle bay door. However, there is quite a large gap at the bottom, so what I'm going to do is I'll just get my filling putty and we'll sort that out, and then we can bring this together. With that all done, it's time to put this together. It's a complicated process. It's going to need some tape, it's going to need some glue, and it's just going to need a lot of cajoling, and making sure that it gets through just right. There are going to be gaps that need to be filled in, which is why I haven't sprayed this, because once I've got all the filler in, we'll just do it all in one go. I need a bead of glue along here, along these side bits, and then on here a bead around the top of the shuttle bay door. Alright, here we go. Feed the electronics through first, then making sure we get the bottom into there. Careful. Slot it into place. There we go. We are engaged. Almost. There we are. That clips down. Good. And now I need to make sure that it is firmly adhering to the back unit. We don't want as little gap as possible. Making their debut appearance. I'll grab some clamps. Yep, that'll work. It's just enough to get it on. Beautiful. And now we'll wait for that to completely dry. I'm going to leave it overnight because this needs to be a real solid bond. Once the glue has set, we'll go ahead and do all of the putty filling, sanding, painting, because we don't want to leave this mask stuff on too long. I mean, it's not going to do anything, but I don't want to leave the purple stain on my clear pieces. Once we've got all that painting done, we can install our rear light, check for light bleed, install the central circuit box, attach the spade connectors to this cable so we can tie it into our 555 input, and just really start bringing this whole rear section together. Well, that was quite an intense moment, wasn't it? Once it's dry, more filling, sanding and spraying. But once that's done, we can really start bringing everything together, getting some momentum, and then getting onto the saucer section. We're halfway through. I mean, technically this is probably more than halfway, because the saucer is simpler? Question mark? But for now, I'm Raven, and that's all from the desk.